Hey, everybody. Hope you are doing well during this lockdown. I'm sure you have all heard about the $2 trillion stimulus plan. Well, out of that stimulus plan, there's a $350 billion set aside for small businesses. So, what does that mean? That means that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, gives out money to help business owners, through the times. And so, as a business owner, or even an independent contractor. So, for example, you're a realtor, an Uber driver, those are considered independent contractors. You can also apply for this loan grant. So, on this video, I'll show you how to quickly apply so you can possibly get $10,000, up to $10,000 in as little as 3 days. And it only really takes about 5 minutes to go through the whole process. So, here we go.
.gov website, and that's of course sba.gov. This is the website that the Small Business Administration has set up to help business owners go through financial programs that they have, learning centers, so you learn how to start a small business, etc. In this case, when we go to it, the first thing we see is the coronavirus issue. So you'll see that on the splash screen. You can also see up here where you can just shortcut to the emergency loan program that I talked to you about earlier. But in this case, we are going to click on Learn More, all right, because we want to learn more. Now, as you can see here, there's a bunch of programs that they have to help people out. The one that we are really interested in, I know everybody's looking at the paycheck one, but the one that we're really interested in is the second one, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans and Loan Advance. All right, so we'll just scroll down because I had issues when I clicked that a while ago. But essentially, the reason why I brought you guys here instead of straight to the application is to show you this last sentence in the paragraph here. So it says that the loan advance will provide economic relief to businesses that are currently experiencing a temporary loss of revenue. Funds will be made available within 3 days after a successful application, and this loan advance will not have to be repaid. That's the important thing to see here. All right, so that's a good thing. If I can get a loan out and I don't have to pay it back, great. All right, so here's the application form right here. It's really easy. Now, what's funny enough is that it says on here that this application takes 2 hours and 10 minutes. I earlier said 5 minutes because really that's how long it took me. If, of course, you have a much more complex business and you have a lot of things that you want to add, such as documentation or such, it's going to take a little longer. But of course, for our intents and purposes, I just want to give you guys the short version. And most of the small business owners typically have, a business of one or 10, stuff like that. Or if you're an independent contractor, it's also one as well. So for my case, I selected the first thing that they're going to do is really try to segregate what kind of business you have. And I belong to the first case, and so do a lot of people. If you're an independent contractor, you can schedule, you could also put yourself under criteria number two. Okay, so basically you're an individual, you have a sole proprietorship, meaning the business all belongs to you, or you are an independent contractor. In my case, even though I am the sole proprietor, it's an actual business. I'm not really a independent contractor, so the first one applies to me. And then the second one is making sure you're not engaged in any illegal activity, you're not behind on child support payments, you don't have a farm, gambling, etc., etc. Most people will have no. So obviously you can check all the boxes. The last part is kind of in to prevent self-interest or conflict of interest. So here's where if you're a member of Congress, you are an entity for any state or local governments, you have to check here, which of course I'm not. So we hit that and continue on. All right, so business information. So business legal name, if you are, this whatever you have, if you have an LLC, you'll put your LLC name there. If you are a regular person or an independent contractor, like I said before, realtor, Uber driver, etc., just put your name. Okay. In this case, this is John Doe. And it's going to be the same with the trade name. The thing is, all these in red are your required fields. Everything else you don't really have to perform. Uh, so the next thing here is going to ask you for your EIN or SSN. If you don't have an EIN, that's fine. Just fill in your SSN. All right, EIN is typically something you apply for when you start an LLC and you want to start a corporation. You go to the IRS website, you're able to apply for an EIN. And as you can see, as I type a fake social in here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So as you can see, even though it's 9 digits, like a social security number, it's still formatting it as if it were an EIN. Now, for those of you out there who are not familiar with an EIN format, look at your W-2s. When you look at the EIN provided by your company that you work for, you'll see the similar format. All right, and then organization type. Typically, the most common business units, you'll have either an LLC or an sole proprietorship. So in my case, I have an LLC, but for the sake of example, we'll hit sole proprietorship. All right, so if you're an independent contractor, you are also a sole proprietor. You may also want to select independent down below, but I would just stick with either one of these. All right, is your business a nonprofit? If you're in business, most of the time you are for profit, so no. Is it a franchise? Most cases. Well, I can't say most cases. If you own a Little Caesars or something, obviously it's a franchise. All right, now it says gross revenue. So revenue is how much money you make within the whole year, right? So for example, I made 12K last year, right? And it cost me about $2,000 to make that 12K. It's a good amount of profit. So that means I made 10,000 in revenue. If you are a landlord, commercial or residential, here is where you'd fill up the amount of money you have lost because of this disaster. I am also actually a landlord as well, and I will be losing money too. Unfortunately, the stimulus package and all the other laws they passed don't really help me. They help apartment complexes because basically they force the banks to say, hey, if you are a multi-tenant property owner, and please, if I am wrong, you can correct me in the comments. But if only if you're a multi-property owner, so that's where the bank's like, okay, we'll let you skip your payments. Everybody else, it's kind of yeah, well, you can kind of skip, but you still owe us by the end of the next couple months. So it really doesn't make any difference. If you still pay now, it's the same thing as paying it at the end of a couple months, whenever that process. I think it's called forbearance. But anyways, we got a little bit off topic there. But anyways, that's where you'd fill out all that. So nonprofit costs, that doesn't apply to us. Pretty much all of these don't typically apply to us and they're not required. So I'm going to skip all that. I'm going to go straight to the address and just fill all this up. I'm in Texas, so I'm just going to fill up Texas address. All right, so let's keep on going. abc@abc.com. That is such a valid address. And for example, let's say I established this business back in 2019. Eventually I'll be able to type properly. Still 19. If you bought the business from somebody else, obviously that applies to you. Business activity. So for example, we are an independent contractor and we are doing Uber or Lyft. So we'll click on transportation. And then limousine transportation. Number of employees, if you are an independent contractor, or, like I said, in most cases, a lot of businesses are 1 to 10 people. In this case, I'll put 1. All right, next. So the first thing it asks you here is if you're a business owned by another business. No. Most of the time, really, no. All right, let's fill up the rest. So this is you, the owner. You'd have to fill up your actual information. Earlier, most people have businesses that are different from their names, which is why you could fill it up with your LLC name. In this case, this would just be the owner. So pretty much the same as last time. Um, and, I find this kind of funny because a lot of people will say, "Hey, I'm the CEO of my own company," and even though you're the only person in your company, it kind of doesn't make any sense. If you're the owner, just hit owner, own up to it. Yeah, I own it 1,000%. That's for sure. All right, pretty much the same stuff as earlier. What's funny is we're going to fill this up, and it's actually going to format it properly because it only thinks it's a social security number. All right. Keep on going. Yes, I'm a U.S. citizen, USA, place of birth. It's funny how that has no way of auto-correcting itself. Funnily enough, too, it doesn't actually check your address. All right, if you have another owner in your business, you're sharing it, you're partnered with somebody else, this is where you would add the additional information. Like I said, for this example, we are the only person owning the business. All right, last step. Essentially, these three items kind of say the same thing. If you've committed a criminal offense, then you'd hit yes. Or if you try to screw the government out of money before, you would hit yes. In my case, of course, it's no. It's actually the first time applying for this. All right. So then if anybody's assisted you help, I wouldn't put my name, but anyways. All right. So I would like to be considered for the advance. This is very important. If you don't want the 10,000 bucks, then don't check it, obviously. And then of course, your bank information. I love Capital One, so Capital One's up here. Account information and a routing number has to reach the certain amount. I believe it's 9. Yep, 9 numbers. All right, and then final thing, you hit the checkbox below, certify that everything you say is true under penalty of perjury. Next. Now we get a summary of all the things we have filled up. Scroll down below, make sure everything's correct. Hit I am not a robot, because obviously you're not, you're watching this video. And then you hit submit. And afterwards you will receive a confirmation number. Copy that down, write that down. You can use that later to check on the status of your application. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you get your 10,000 bucks and we all get through this. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave comments down below. Thank you very much.